What's going on, top tier trader? Brittany Hughes here, and I am here with another top tier trader interview. Today, I've got Nima here with me, who is a top tier funded trader. Nima, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. I'm doing great.
Yeah. Well, thank you for opting in and participating in one of these interviews. I was just telling you right before we started recording that I feel like I've seen your name pop up in like the payouts chat and in Discord recently, consistently. So first of all, I want to give you your flowers and congratulate you on your
Appreciate
most
it.
recent payouts.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's more recently because I just I think I started with you guys last year around February, but again we weren't in the right mindset. I did buy quite an amount of challenges and I couldn't pass them, or I did pass them but never got to a payout. But I think I came back to you guys again in the end of I think December, and since
Okay.
then I start working, and it's been just great as everybody sees. And truly, I wanted to kind of like showcase the fact that Top Tier does pay.
Mhm.
That's the truth, because I myself always had doubt because I never got to a payout, and I
Sure.
started like a year ago, but it was unfortunate that I couldn't get to a payout. And I wanted to showcase that. So if people have doubts, they could potentially see the payouts, because I don't usually post my payouts, to be honest.
Hmm.
But I did want to do that favor because I mean, it's you guys just, it's been very smooth working with you guys overall, whether it's getting the new account, whether it's getting the new like the second phase, and everything about it has been smooth for me. It's been pretty quick. Any issue that I had with any sort of thing, and I think that's why I wanted to showcase that this is actually a good firm, because I do work multiple firms, and I just want to say this has been the most. I mean, it's just the best one so far for me. And again, I've been in the industry, I think, for, if I'm not wrong, I think 3 years, like prop firm
Okay.
industry.
Sure.
Worked with multiple firms, and again, the prop firms were changing at a point, and it was a point. It was a point for me that I went through stuff as well, because some firm didn't pay, and then when you count on the pay and you don't get it, you made investments. You're like, okay, now I got to step back. Now I got to see
Mm.
what I need to do. But then again, I think it was during that time that I joined you guys, and it just I wasn't in the right mindset, and I wasn't successful then. And let's see what happens, where Top Tier takes me. To be honest, from now on.
Yeah. No, I love to hear that. Testimonials are so imperative in this industry, to your point. It's just, I mean, fortunately, I feel like we're turning a new leaf in the industry, but for a long time, and still there are elements where it feels like the wild, wild west these days, right? Where
Sure. Yes.
there's
Yes.
some uncertainty. So completely understand. And that's why I love conducting these interviews, because the proof is in the pudding and these testimonials
Very
are
cool.
important, so people can have a level of peace of mind when they're choosing to invest with a specific
Correct.
firm or
Yes.
go with a specific
Exactly.
firm. I know you mentioned you typically don't share your payouts, but do you mind sharing with
Of
us
course.
what your biggest payout has been so far,
Well,
your biggest one, and then also how much you've been paid out from top
well,
tier?
so far, I think the biggest one is 46, which you guys added 1,000 because he went over 24 hours to get approved. I do remember that. That was the first payout, actually.
Okay.
It was 46, and then there was another 39, another 39, and there is $158,000 that's coming. That would be the biggest, but
Wow.
it would
That's
be next week,
crazy.
essentially.
That's
Yes.
amazing. I mean, to go from not having, not making any payouts. When was your first payout from top tier?
Well, it was January.
January was your first payout.
Correct. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, congratulations. I want to give
Appreciate
you
it.
your flowers. I mean, to hear these numbers, you said a 58K on the way.
Yeah, so it would be total of when that one, because it would, I think it would be 182,000 within the past. essentially 2 months, because on the first I'm gonna take it out of next month.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Now, I know reaching this point, you didn't just wake up one morning and start trading with prop firms and start trading with top tier. It's been a bit of a journey. So I want to backtrack a little bit and discover what that journey looked like for you. When did you first get started with trading?
Well, I'm trying to keep it short, but I think it started. It started when I was a kid. I remember my father
Okay.
was trading, and he would always force me to come and just look at the monitor and trying to explain me certain things, whether it's strategy or anything. And I remember I would be like, it's boring. It looks boring. I don't want to look at it. So I kind of forced myself to just sit right next to him and just listen. However, it didn't start from then. I think it was about like anywhere from I think 9 years ago, maybe a little bit more, that I was
Okay.
working. I was working. I had a 9 to 5 job, like at the bank, and I do remember that I started with my own money doing crypto, and I
Okay.
remember Bitcoin was like 3,000, if I'm not wrong. It was then when I was like doing Bitcoin, and
Wow.
again, I went from Bitcoin to Forex, and I went from Forex to future, or specifically, let's just say S&P 500.
Okay.
But then it was like, I would say 5, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I went to gold specifically, and
Okay.
that's the only thing I trade.
Okay. That's the
And
only thing you trade right now.
yeah, and again, it had its own up and down, I would say. I started with trading my own money, and I did make money eventually. But again, the volume wasn't as much when I was introduced till I was introduced to prop firm. And it was since then that I started actually making much higher amount that I could even anticipate, to be honest, and I
Mhm.
would say it was definitely a big change. Even then, I tried to go to like my own money eventually, but it's just different. And I think since the problem are here, and I believe they're here to stay. To be honest, yes, there will be changes a lot. I mean, there could be, but I do believe they're here to stay. And I think there is no need to risk your own money if you can just buy a challenge and potentially pass the challenge. Again, it's not an easy thing to pass the challenge. Market has to be good. You have to understand the market. I mean, there's days that I can't understand the market. Either I stay out or I ended up losing money, but it's part of it. And I think for me, it would be much better to trade with prop firm than my own money solely because the risk is not as high. Yes, again, on prop firm, when you're up, that's the money that you could potentially take out. So it's basically you're trading with your own money at that point.
Mhm.
But truly, I think it lifts up a little bit of that pressure that it is with your own money. Also, if you look at it, if you're trading for 1 to 2% profit, and if you're risking 1%, in the meantime, if you do choose prop firm, it would be potentially much more payout, much more return than your own money, and that is a
To
big leverage. And I would say that was the journey I started. And again, even the prop firm had a lot of up and down, I would say,
When did you
because
start trading with prop firms specifically?
well, I don't know if I can say the name, but it was the funded trader that I start, the
Okay.
funded trader program. Yeah, and then
Sure, sure, sure.
I
How long ago was that?
I think that was like three years ago, more than that, I think.
Okay.
Yes, I do remember they haven't hit their 1 year anniversary. I remember I was already with them.
Okay.
But it started after 6 months me being with them. Because the truth is, when you go from your own money to prop firm, it is a totally different mindset. And
Mm.
I wasn't making money for the first 5 months. I would literally go to work, and whatever money I have, I would put it in there and try to pass a challenge. I even
I have a
got
quick
to
question really quickly. When you were transitioning from your live account to prop firms, were you consistently profitable on your live accounts? And then when you made the shift to prop firms, that's you went through like a learning curve with trading with prop
yes,
firms? Okay.
yes. But the problem was that I would lose the sight of that risk management when I came to prop firm. Because the
Mm,
money was bigger, the number was getting I was getting used to seeing bigger numbers, and I was greed, and there's a lot of discipline. There's a lot of things that were
Sure.
involved in. And I think it was after 6 months, I got my first payout, and then I started getting more payout, and I even got bigger payouts from them back in the day. But also there were some payouts at the end that were denied.
Of course.
And
Of course.
yes, yeah, it was a time. But overall, um, I think if you look at it in a perspective that whether it's better to trade with your own money or not, if I truly think for the way I trade, for what I trade, it's much better to do prop firm than with your own money. Again, there is some people that like to trade with their own money because there is certain risk, there is certain rules that it doesn't affect them, and
Mhm.
so be it. I understand that, but I think prop firm is here to stay, and I think it could cover a lot of retail trader for that, to be honest. And I believe in it, to be honest. That's what I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it shows. It shows your belief in the industry shows in the payouts that you're receiving. And I'm right there with you. I definitely agree that while prop firms are here, while I do believe that they are also here to stay, it is definitely something to capitalize on. You
Correct.
talked a little bit about making the shift from your live account to just trading prop firms and how there was like some psychological elements that you had to adjust. What were those specifically, and how did you make those shifts? And yeah, how did you make those psychological shifts to becoming profitable with
Well,
trading with
I
firms?
think first thing first that let me get to that struggle was the leverage that I had here and I didn't have with my money.
Mm,
And I remember when I first started with them, I would maximize on my leverage every single trade, and it was just a hit or miss at that point. And
mm,
or they call it all or nothing, basically. That's what they call it. And I truly think that did affect me in a way that it was very hard for me to go from, let's just say, I remember with it, like, let's just say going from like 30 lots to, going from one lot to 30 lots from real to prop firm. And
mhm,
now I was seeing that, yes, it could make me money, but it's high risk. It's like a gamble, and I do believe trading is gamble, but uh, I don't believe that they say there's like 99% losses, truly,
mm,
because I think if you look at it, if somebody goes to school and again, getting a degree, making a business, going that business, experiencing it, and then do their own business, it takes anywhere from 8 to 10 years. And if you put that much time and money into trading, you could potentially be much higher. I'm saying there's more risk, but there's much higher percentage that people will come out profitable. But
sure.
yes, let me get to the main subject.
Yeah,
I
no
say,
worries.
I think it was a lot of struggle as of when it comes to discipline, and when it's like when you lose 10K on a prop firm, it doesn't feel 10K. It looks like you just lost 500, on a
Mm,
$100,000 account, and that would potentially make you not care about as much as about discipline, about like actually looking for a best trade. You
mm,
would just look at the market. You're like, feels like it's going up. Let me go in. Feels like it's going
mm,
down. Let me go in. You would be careless, and I struggle with that for like 5 6 months, and I truly think what helped me the most in that point was to realize that I'm putting this much money, this much time, and there's no return. So I started actually
mm,
lowering my risk. Again, even back in the day, if I look at myself even 3 years ago, 2 years ago, with what I risk right now, it's not comparable. I risk
mm,
much less. And I do believe that every day I'm just learning, and I'm trying to be a better trader. I still have a lot of issues when it comes to trading, and I had a lot before. But I do believe I'm working on them every day, and that's why journaling does help. I think that's a
mm,
very key point to say that um, most of uh, most of my journaling was about finding the issue. Even if I was profitable one day, I would look at that trade to see, was that really luck or was it just me,
mm,
and
sure.
there's a lot of time there's luck involved too, but I do believe you can't count on those. So journaling did help me a lot at that point. I would say that I started realizing what market session I am more profitable than the others,
Okay.
and then what days I'm better than others.
Mm,
And I even trying to see like the most important news that come out that does affect gold. to see what time they are and how I've done within the past month or two on those times.
Mhm.
And I do believe there's certain times that I just don't trade. There's certain sessions I just don't trade. If I'm already not in a trade, I'm not touching it, which is New York for me. I
Okay.
am not touching New York session. But yeah, those are the key point. I think that's changed me, going from just losing challenge after challenge to profitable, being profitable, basically.
That's great. That's great. I'm interested to know right now, is there a certain way, do you trade the same way when you're trying to pass an eval versus when you have the funded account, or do you
Yes.
trade both of them the same? Okay, great. Can you go into detail about what that looks like?
So I mainly, to be honest, just look at support and resistance,
Okay.
and to see when market gets to those key level area, basically price range,
Okay.
to see how market reacts to it. Whether we're going to see a reversal or whether we're going to see it basically pushing through it. And it's very, to explain it, it looks very simple, to be honest, to me, because I do trade breakouts, I do trade reversals, I do trade. I would say not many, but these two are the key ones. And for me, I wait. Again, even till this day, there's times that I don't wait and turns out to be a loss, and it happens, to be honest. It's part of it.
Sure.
But support resistance, I look at to see when price gets to that point. I do look at the candles to see how they close. And especially the higher time frame. It's like for me, higher time frame actually shows me to see where market could potentially go. I'm not Nothing's guaranteeing the market. And
Sure.
based on that thought or knowledge, based on the candles, I will decide. And also, we got to see how the market reacts to supports and resistance, because it's very important for me. I
Mm,
do set up my target, my TP and stop loss on based on those, especially for stop loss. TP, there's many times I come out way before the target profit, to be honest, because it's just, you can't just wait for that. And
mhm.
especially if I'm in a trade that I'm in profit, for me, it's every time I'm looking at the trade, like let's just say I'm up like 50%, and my stop loss was, I don't know, 20% of that profit. For me, now I'm risking 70%. And for me, is it worth it for me to stay or not? Do I see the strength in the market to see if it's going to push through it and hit my target or not? There's a lot of things I would say that I do look at when it comes to the market, which mainly would be the candles to see how they react to certain price, even while I'm in profit or in loss. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
I just want to see it as the market goes up and down. But mainly support and resistance. To be honest, I I I don't know how to explain it. To be honest, it's
Yeah,
funny
no, that's
because
fine. There's so many different ways to trade, of course, as well. What I see on a chart is completely different than what you see on a chart, but we can both make money at the end of the day, which I
that's
think
very
is
true.
which is such a beautiful thing. It's very interesting. I find trading is kind of like fine art if you think about it. Like when you go to a museum and everyone's like staring at a photo or a
Yes,
painting or a sculpture, and we're all
yes,
getting different perspectives from the
that's very
same
true.
exact thing. I mean, it's fascinating. It really is fascinating. When it comes to how much risk you're risking, because I mean, I talk to funded traders all the time who have been with prop firms for a really long time and who are just want to get to the money, just want to get to the money, right? The eval phase, you're not making any money. The funded
It's
phase
true.
is where you're making the money. So
Right.
on the eval phase, maybe they're risking more because they just want to get to the funded phase. Whereas when they're funded, they're like, okay, now it's time for me to scale back my risk because I'm actually at the funded stage. Do you keep the same level of risk in both stages, or do you change your risk depending on if you're in the evaluation or the funded phase?
So for me, it's the same.
Okay.
And solely, I believe, because if you do trade differently on the eval and then come
Mm,
to the funded, you could lose that rhythm. And you're gonna say, and there's been many times for me even, I'll say, oh yeah, I'm gonna trade like instead of 5 lots, I'm gonna go 1 lot. And
mm,
it's just like risk 20% of what I do usually. But if you're not used to it, you will automatically make those mistakes. Again, some people are like that and they're very successful. good for them. But for me, I would say I would have to keep it the same, and I usually keep it anywhere from 1 to 2%. Solely because if I do sense a reversal, and if I see my stop loss is very low, then I go in with 1 to 2%, not more than that. And then, depending on my stop loss, I will choose my size of the
Okay.
trade. That's
Sure.
very important for me, because before you go in the trade, you have to know how much you're willing to lose. Other than that, mentally, you're not accepting it, so it's just going to get more and more and more. That's why I just 1 to 2%, I would say, is for me.
Okay. Okay. Great. Now there's going to be people who are tuning in to this interview who are, fortunately at many different stages in their journey. There are people who are going to be at your level who are, relishing in nearly 200K in payouts. There's some people who have blown 200K worth of accounts, or who are just getting started and are having difficulty reaching that funded stage or having a hard time kind of breaking through that evaluation ceiling. For those individuals, do you have any pieces of advice that you could offer them to kind of break through that evaluation ceiling to get to the funded stage and start withdrawing consistent profits? Because at the end of the day, that's the main
The
goal.
goal,
Yeah.
yes. Well, I think you have to know that you should just look for a good trade, not for money.
Mm,
Solely because if you look for a good trade, if you trade well, the money will come after that. And again, you have to be okay with losing, but you have to be very disciplined with how much you're willing to lose and actually execute on that point. Because that will help you to be in this game for longer. Because if you keep going through eval, there's going to be a point you're going to give up. And I went through the same thing. I had all the worst habits, and I do believe there's light at the end of the tunnel. To be honest, I do believe that, especially with prop firms being out there, it's much easier. I've brought many people to prop firms that actually do trade, and they, one way or another, they got to a payout. But it's not an easy journey, but I think it's possible. There's many people that do it, and I think you just look at to see what your issues are and trying to actually work on them instead of looking for bigger payout, bigger money.
mhm.
People do see my payouts. There's been my first payouts for like 5K, and I was very happy with them, to
Of
be honest,
course.
at that point,
Of
And I
course.
do believe you shouldn't even look for the number. You should journal your trades. You should find your weaknesses. And it doesn't specifically rely on the way you trade. It relies on when you trade, what time
Mhm.
of the day you trade, what session you trade, because those all matter. Some people are better with some sessions than others. I personally only look for Asian session, I would say. Mostly, even in Europe session, unless if I'm already in a trade with Asian session and it's going over to Europe, I'm not getting involved with Europe session.
Mm,
Solely because for me, I got to realize that they're like Asian sessions are just better for the way I trade, my
mm.
stop loss that I put in, because there could be more volatility on the other sessions. And yeah, these are the main thing. Journal, and I do believe look for a good trade and don't look at the money, because once
Mm.
you look at the money, that does affect the way you trade.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. I want to touch really quickly on community. Again, I mentioned at the beginning of this that testimonial is important. What I find, especially in trading, that it is also a solo sport, and having people who are at different levels, different parts of their journey within one community can be extremely helpful. I know that you're posting your payouts in the top tier Discord channel, which again is very helpful for other traders to see not only what is possible and what's also happening within the top tier community, but that you're getting paid out and all. There's so many pros to community. So I'm just interested to know, how has being a part of the top tier community contributed to your trading journey?
Well, for me, I think the community matters because, as you said, I think people start believing in a prop firm or not. It's based on how um, outspoken they are about what they're going through, how transparent they are. Because if a community is not as active, I do believe that would potentially mean it could be fake. I mean, there's a lot of platforms out there that
Right.
you could go through it. Even to this day, if I wanted to look into it, there's a lot of platform that could potentially just not pay you after you could blown away many accounts, and then you realize they don't even pay you when you get to one.
Hmm.
I do believe it's very important, and for me, I personally post my payouts solely because I wanted to showcase to people that top tier do pay, and because I have that doubts for 8 9 months, and I wished I started with you guys sooner again. But again, that was my journey. But I wanted to showcase that it's been very smooth, the process. And even let's just say with the Discord, I do believe any question I had, the operator were there. They were very helpful, very quick to respond, and I just loved the whole process I had through the community. I think every single question I had, doubts I had, they responded very quickly, and I experienced the firsthand to get to a payout, which is the ultimate goal in any platform you go to.
Totally, totally. Nima, this has been incredible. First of all, I want to
Yeah.
thank you so much for again opting into this interview. I mean, 150 plus K. What does this is my last question. What does that mean to you? And how is that going to impact what it is you're doing? And I mean, ultimately, that amount of money is life impacting, you know?
Absolutely, I do believe that. Well, for me, I think it's more about what I'm gonna be doing in the future with the revenue that it's coming. And again, I do believe this is gonna continue, and I think for any person that gets to certain amount of money, and if they're, well, you're never sure, but if you capable of making it, I think you basically plan your life based on that, and the investments you're going to do in the future, what you're going to exactly do. But for me, it's definitely I'm going to start investing again in different things. I do believe you have to diversify your assets overall, and that's what I'm going to be doing. To be honest, I've been very blessed with the money that's coming. Don't get me wrong,
Sure.
and I hope it continues, and potentially me buying more properties. I mean, it's just look. Here's the thing. Especially, I moved out to United States like about 10 years ago, and I do believe that they say if you put 100% of your energy in something, effort, you focus on it, you could make it. And I do believe you could definitely do that here, and with you guys specifically, because I mean, this is just showcase that you guys do pay, and even when it gets to a large payouts, because you see a lot of small ones, but I do believe the large payouts, when you see it, you
Mm.
could plan your life based on that, and which is for me, and potentially just elevate my life, to be honest,
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah. Well, Nima, again, congratulations on the success that you've had up until this point, and I know that there is more where that came from ultimately. So,
Appreciate
again, thank you so so much for this interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and thank you
Thank you for
everyone.
having me.
Thanks Top Tier for tuning into this interview. Make sure to, I believe this will be posted on our YouTube channel, so please make sure to like this video, comment down below one of your biggest takeaways. I'll be in the comments. Potentially Nima will be in the comments answering questions, and make sure
Perfect.
that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel so you are updated every time we post a new interview. Thank you, everyone.